Welcome to Storytelling World TV. Get your listening devices and relax while listening to this historical story tale. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel to follow up. The moon hung low over Valoria that night, casting silver ribbons across the stone walls as if trying to illuminate the secrets hidden inside. King Alden stood alone on the ramparts, cloak fluttering in the cold wind. Sleep refused to come, his instincts clawing at him with warnings he couldn't quite understand. Something was wrong within his kingdom. Something close. Too close. Footsteps echoed behind him. "My king," Captain Rowan said softly, bowing. "A scout has returned from the northern line. He requests audience." Alden nodded sharply. "Bring him." Moments later, a young soldier approached, panting, dust covering his armor. "Your Majesty, the villages, the destruction is worse than we imagined. Koran is moving faster. He has new allies." Alden's brows furrowed. "Allies? Who?" The scout hesitated. We don't know yet. But their banners are unfamiliar. Foreign. Their armor enchanted, perhaps." Alden stiffened. "Magic? In Valoria again?" Rowan shook his head. "Impossible. The sorcerers were wiped out decades ago. Or so we believed," Alden murmured. "Strengthen the borders. Ready every rider at dawn." "Yes, sire." But even as the orders left his lips, Alden felt the ache of something missing, someone missing. Seraphine. He had left their chambers hours ago without waking her. He needed her presence, her comfort, her calm. His heart tugged him back to the castle hallways. He walked quickly through the corridors, passing guards who bowed respectfully. He opened the door to their chamber quietly, but the bed was empty. Sheets cold. The balcony unoccupied. Alden frowned. "Seraphine?" Silence. A strange unease rippled through him. It wasn't like her to disappear in the dead of night. He stepped back into a hallway, spotting a maid adjusting candlesticks. "Have you seen the Queen?" The maid froze slightly too long before answering. I saw her earlier, my king." Heading toward the West Wing. "The West Wing?" Alden repeated. "At this hour?" She said she needed air." Alden thanked her, but even as he walked away, the woman's eyes flickered with something he couldn't read. He made his way toward the West Wing, footsteps echoing in the dim corridors. As he approached the older, quieter part of the castle, he heard faint voices, hushed, urgent. He stopped. Two silhouettes stood near a hidden passage, one tall and cloaked, the other wearing a gown he recognized instantly. Seraphine. Alden's breath caught. The cloaked figure handed her a small object, metal, glowing faintly blue. "What is that?" Seraphine whispered. "A binding charm," the figure said, voice low. "Once activated, the northern troops will turn on each other before reaching the battlefield. The king will be powerless." Alden's chest tightened. The words struck like a blade. Seraphine asked quietly, "And Koran? Will he keep his promise?" "If Valoria falls," the figure replied, "you will have what you desire. Power. Freedom. Vengeance." Seraphine exhaled slowly, fingers curling around the charm. "Good. Then tomorrow we move." The figure slipped back into the shadows. Alden stood frozen. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Each word carved into him like iron. His throat tightened as Seraphine turned, the moonlight revealing the calm resolve in her face. Not fear. Not hesitation. Resolve. Why? Why would the woman he loved, trusted, join hands with his enemy? The pain in his chest grew sharp. He stepped back, boots scraping lightly against the stone. Seraphine's head snapped up. "Who's there?" Alden turned away quickly, disappearing into another corridor. His heart slammed against his ribcage as he pressed a hand to the wall, fighting the urge to collapse. His knees felt weak, as though the weight of betrayal dragged him downward. He had heard correctly. Every word. There was no mistake. Seraphine was working with Koran. His queen. His wife. His heart. Before tears could form, Alden clenched his jaw. No, he whispered. I will not break. Not now. But pain burned behind his eyes. He returned to his chamber silently, pacing like a caged animal. The room felt colder, emptier than ever. Her perfume still lingered in the air, mocking him. Memories flooded his mind, her soft laughter, her gentle touch, her loyalty he believed was unquestionable. A lie. All of it. He gripped the edge of the table so tightly his knuckles turned white. Why, Seraphine? What did I fail to see? But there was no answer. Just the hollow echo of betrayal. Minutes passed. Or hours. He couldn't tell. When Seraphine returned, she entered quietly, as though she'd been nowhere unusual. Alden? She called softly. You're awake? You look pale, troubled. He turned, masking his emotions with the skill only a king possessed. Just planning for battle. She stepped closer, touching his arm. You've been distant. He swallowed the storm and sighed. War does that. She studied him, searching his face, but he held steady. Her smile returned, gentle, serene, practiced. Sleep beside me. Rest. Valoria needs your strength. He said nothing. Simply nodded. She lay in bed with the grace of a woman unbothered. Alden lay beside her, but sleep refused to come. Instead, he stared at the ceiling, every breath reminding him of the truth now lodged in his chest like a dagger. He waited until her breathing deepened into sleep. Then he rose silently and left the room. As he entered the war chamber, he whispered, I must think. I must act. But not blindly. He needed proof. He needed to know why. He needed to understand how deeply the betrayal ran. And he needed to protect his kingdom, even if it meant protecting Valoria from its own queen. But one thing was certain, the next sunrise would change everything. Before the story continues, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because what's coming next will shake Valoria to its core. The war chamber was dim, lit only by a few flickering torches, shadows dancing across the carved wooden table. King Alden rested both palms against its surface, breath steady but eyes turbulent. Maps lay scattered before him, marked with red arrows and pieces representing armies. But tonight, the real battle was no longer outside Valoria. It was inside its walls. Inside his heart. Captain Rowan entered quietly. My king? You called. Alden lifted his head. Rowan, how long have you known me? Since boyhood, sire. Then you know I do not summon you at this hour without reason. Rowan stepped closer, sensing the heaviness in Alden's voice. What troubles you? Alden hesitated. The truth burned at the back of his throat. He wanted to speak it, to spill his pain like blood, but distrust could cost him his kingdom. He needed caution. Rowan, he began slowly. I fear there may be traitors among us. Rowan stiffened. Traitors? Inside Valoria? Alden's eyes darkened. Yes. Someone with access. Someone close. Rowan stepped forward. Give me the name, my king, and I will. No. Alden raised a hand. Not yet. I need confirmation. Proof. The wrong accusation could tear the kingdom in two. Understood. Alden lowered his gaze to the table. We watch. Quietly. Anyone behaving strangely, report to me first. Do not act. Not yet. Rowan bowed deeply. You have my loyalty, Alden. Always. When the captain left, Alden exhaled slowly, tension tightening across his chest. Every instinct screamed for action, confront Seraphine, demand answers, rage at her betrayal, but he couldn't. Not yet. For Valoria's sake, he must be king before he could be a wounded husband. The next morning, Seraphine played her role flawlessly. She walked the halls with regal grace, spoke gently to the servants, offered blessings to frightened villagers who arrived seeking shelter from the northern chaos. Everyone adored her. Everyone trusted her. Alden watched from a distance. How easily she smiled. How effortlessly she fooled them all. And yet, a part of him still ached. He longed to believe her innocence, but he had heard her himself. There was no mistake. By afternoon, scouts arrived with new information. Troubling information. One knelt before Alden. "Your Majesty, we followed Koran's movements as ordered." "And?" Alden pressed. "Koran halted his march. He waits just beyond our borders, as if awaiting something." Alden felt his stomach twist. "Awaiting orders?" he murmured. The scout nodded. "Or permission." Alden dismissed him and turned away, mind racing. Seraphine. The charm. The whisper of vengeance. Pieces fell into place, sharp and painful. But why? That question gnawed at him like a hungry beast. Later that evening, Alden moved through the castle's lesser-used corridors, tracing the path Seraphine had taken the night before. He reached a hidden doorway, pressing a hand against the stone until the concealed mechanism clicked. The passage opened. Inside, the air smelled faintly of old parchment and secrets. Torches illuminated the narrow hall, leading toward a chamber he never knew existed. He stepped inside. Bookshelves lined the walls, scribbles of ancient magic, forbidden knowledge, maps of territories long forgotten. And at the center lay a table covered in scrolls and letters. His breath hitched. Letters, bearing Seraphine's handwriting. Alden reached for one with trembling fingers. "You promised Valoria would be mine again. You promised my lineage would rise as it should have. I will not fail you." The letter fell from his grasp. Mine again? Lineage? He grabbed another letter. "Alden's ancestors took what belonged to my family. You know this. You know what they destroyed. When Valoria burns, justice will be restored." Alden froze. Her family, destroyed? His mind reeled, searching the past, trying to recall any such history. But royal records spoke nothing of it. Then he remembered, ancient conflicts erased from the scrolls, bloodlines hidden for peace. A chill rippled through him. Seraphine's betrayal wasn't sudden. It was generational. Her motives weren't born of impulse. They were born of legacy. Footsteps echoed. Alden turned sharply, but it wasn't Seraphine. It was Rowan. "My king," Rowan whispered, voice taut. "I followed the Queen's maid. She delivered a message outside the gates. To a cloaked figure." Alden's eyes hardened. "What did the message say?" Rowan held out a small scroll. "It was written in code, but we deciphered it." Alden unrolled the note. "The charm is ready. At sunset, send the signal. The king suspects nothing." A bitter laugh escaped Alden's throat, quiet, painful. "She thinks me blind." Rowan stepped closer. "Give the order, sire. We can arrest her before she moves." Alden closed his eyes. The war inside him raged, king versus husband, justice versus heartbreak. "No," he whispered. "If we strike too soon, she may escape. And if the charm activates, our own soldiers will slaughter each other. Then what do we do?" Alden opened his eyes, cold, focused, kingly. "We let her move, but we intercept the signal. Track the cloaked figure. And once we have both her and her accomplice cornered, we cut the cord that binds her to Koran." Rowan bowed. "As you command." As Rowan left, Alden stood alone again in that chamber of secrets, staring at the letters that revealed the woman he never truly knew. "I loved you, Seraphine," he whispered. "But maybe I loved an illusion." He turned away. By sunset, the sky burned red, the color of omen. Seraphine stood on her balcony, gown fluttering, eyes fixed on the horizon where Koran waited with his army. She held the charm in her palm, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat. "It's time," she murmured. Her maid hurried into the room. "My queen, the signal. Shall I deliver the lantern?" "Yes." "Tonight Valoria begins its transformation." The maid lit the special lantern, its flame bright green, visible for miles, and prepared to carry it to the tower. But as she stepped into the hallway, a gloved hand seized her from behind. The lantern clattered to the floor, extinguished instantly. Rowan pressed a blade to her throat. "No more signals." Alden stepped from the shadows, eyes burning with betrayed resolve. "Where is she sending this?" he demanded. The maid trembled. To the cliffs north of the forest, to Koran's watcher." "I swear I didn't want to," she threatened my family. Alden raised a hand. "Enough." He turned to Rowan. "We ride. Now." Hooves thundered across the courtyard as Alden and a handful of loyal soldiers sped into the night. Wind tore at their cloaks, urgency driving them harder than any battle before. They reached the cliffs, dark, still, eerie. A lone figure stood there, holding a mirror used to reflect the lantern's signal to Koran's camp. Alden dismounted. "Step away." The figure turned slowly. Hood falling. Face revealed. A gasp tore from Alden's throat. It was not a stranger. It was someone he knew. Someone he trusted. Before the truth could settle, the figure smiled darkly. "Too late, Alden." A horn blasted in the distance. Koran's armies erupted from the tree line. The cliff shook beneath them. The betrayal was deeper than he ever imagined. Before the next episode, the narrator urges, make sure to like, comment your theories, and subscribe, because the storm has broken, and Valoria's darkest hour begins now. We'll meet in the next video.